I was gonna open up this video with a monologue about cringe and what it means, but I feel like showing an example would get the point across much better. Anyway, my beautiful people, today we're talking about cringe. You're very familiar with it. I have also heard of it, but since we're transitioning into perhaps the most cringe era in all of human history, I felt like it would be valuable to create a survival guide of sorts, so I welcome you to How to Survive a Cringe Moment. We'll be going over the types of cringe, examples of each, so that you can learn from my mistakes and actions you can take after experiencing cringe so that you can save yourself from a fate of skydiving into an active volcano. Without further ado, let's get right into it. The first type of cringe I want to talk about is called personal cringe. As the name suggests, that's of course when you are the star of the show. You did something that makes yourself wince in agony, or perhaps other people around you. You can also call this intimate cringe because there are 2 to 3 people around you, max. And last but not least, this type of cringe is characterized by being forgettable. Time heals all wounds, especially personal cringe. Because if you're living life correctly, trust me, you will have many worse experiences than personal cringe. As an example, let me give you my own personal cringe story, which a little bit made me want to rip my hair out, but it's okay, we live to tell the tale. I once attended a work dinner event with some friends, and honestly it was all good for the longest time. I was doing the Lucas special, schmoozing, networking, charming, doing my thing. Until of course it was time to leave, and I got a ride from this couple that I didn't know all too well, and this girl started complaining about her boss. Typical complaints: low pay, social unawareness from the boss, general unhappiness about her work life, and I had the bright idea of lightening her mood with a joke. So I told a joke that went something like this. That sucks. I'm really sorry to hear that. We should kill his family to send a message. Which for some reason was met with silence. The silence, of course, then I broke with, or at least we should kill him. Needless to say, the couple didn't really say much for the rest of the ride home, so I was left in the backseat with a substantial amount of personal cringe, which I am now reliving with you guys. Although something tells me that the husband secretly found the joke funny, because as he was boarding a plane the next week, he texted me something about defending, denying, and deposing. Who knows? Okay, the latter part was a joke, but the first part wasn't. It wasn't my brightest moment. Know your audience is what I'm trying to get at here. All this to say, I'm still alive after that cringe moment, and you can be too. So how do we survive personal cringe? Well, if it's any grade 4 cringe or below, don't do anything. The situation will resolve itself. You're lucky this is personal cringe. You're lucky this is in an intimate setting with people you probably know or nobody. Because if a tree falls in the forest and no one's around to hear it, yeah, it still makes a noise, but no one thinks about that tree. That was off dome. That was so good. Put that on I should write a book. No, better yet, I should sell a course. But while this is useful knowledge, what's more important is knowing what to do if it's grade 5 cringe or above. First of all, you must wince at yourself in secret. You can do this easily because, again, it's intimate, so that'll look something like this. What you'll want to do next is put on some melancholy music. This will make you feel like a misunderstood villain and help you transition that cringe feeling to a feeling of cool. You'll say to yourself, these idiots, they would never understand my genius, my intellect. And last but not least, you're going to want to learn from your mistakes and never talk about it again. Period. Do as I say, not as I do, because I still hang out with this couple I don't know very well relatively often, and I still make those jokes. And I believe they think I'm a psychopath. But moving on, I'm sure that you've noticed I mentioned the levels of cringe in that section. Very observant, my beautiful cringe protege you, and we'll get to that in just a sec. My goal in this video, though, is to uncover the truths of cringe in the most efficient way possible, so let's mention the next type of cringe first: secondhand cringe. As you might expect, secondhand cringe is characterized by the fact that someone else is the focus of this cringe. This cringe happens due to someone else's action. However, you do not need to know the person. You can still feel secondhand cringe if it's not your friend, but some random bystander that does some heinous, vile shit. What you do need to know about secondhand cringe, though, is that the actions you need to take based on the scenario you are in are completely reliant on the cringe level. And last but not least, they can affect relationships. The key difference between the two first types of cringe is that personal cringe is easier to decide a plan of action for, since you'll go to the ends of the earth to justify why you're still suave after telling your waiter to enjoy their food anyway, whereas secondhand cringe has the ability to affect these interpersonal relationships. But okay, it's time. Let's explain the levels of cringe. In essence, a group of very unfortunate scientists managed to construct a tiering system of cringe by observing you your entire life. Yes, you. So let's take a look at the levels and help you decide on a plan of action, starting with, of course, grade 1, not cringe. This is completely normal behavior. I am actually surprised that they managed to create this tier system by following you. Here is an example. You say thank you to the waiter. An action you might perform is nothing to see here, move along. It's elementary. While it's not rocket science, it is a little grade 3 cringe that I have to explain this to some people anyway. Now grade 2 is Lil Cringe, which sounds not only like a rapper name, but it's minor and it can be more cute than it is awkward. For example, you might see someone that's completely alone in a Starbucks dropping their pen and saying, oops, while picking it up and drawing attention to themselves for really no reason. There's nothing to see here. If you're alone, you just keep going by your day. And if you are with someone, you might look at them like this, and then you just go about your day and you forget it. Grade 3 I like to call mild cringe. It's a low level of awkwardness, maybe slight discomfort you feel in your body, and usually it's just a mistake by the perpetrator. As an example, it could be someone mishearing someone else and then replying incorrectly. For instance, me, you, and your mother are at a party, the music's really loud, I can barely hear anything, your mother asks me for my phone number, I say, no, yeah, and we start feeling a little awkward. How do we deal with this situation? Well, if you know the person who's making the offense, you'll simply correct them and tell them that they're wrong. You'll say, Luca, my mom is asking for your phone number, and I'll say, oh, sorry, I thought you were telling me a joke. If it was a rando that you're overhearing, you're just gonna shake your head and realize that you're simply better. Next up, we've got grade 4 noticeable cringe. It's when everyone involved, perhaps in a room, some sort of radius, will feel cringe. It is forgivable, but is exponentially more cringe than grade 3. For example, you're in a room where someone tells a zero-laugh joke, and no one knows how to continue the conversation because it took the wind out of their sails. Now, for this, you must immediately call this cringe out. You have to lighten the mood. You have to say, ha, that was a miss, and that's okay. This level of cringe is simply not deep enough that you want to avoid it completely. You have to call it out so that everybody feels more comfortable being in this space. Which brings me to grade 5 level cringe, which I like to call, oof, we're getting to the heavy hitter cringe here. It's when everyone involved feels a high level of cringe, and this might just change your brain chemistry forever. For an example, it's complete unawareness about the world and anything around you. If you want a more concrete example, imagine your 6th generation American friend tries to convince you that they're 1/19th Italian and that they make the best pasta you have ever tried. If you are unlucky enough to be part of that situation, what should you do? Well, immediate topic change. They tell you about the pasta, you say, wow, I love League of Legends. Wow, I love basketball LeBron James' strong muscles. Because this type of cringe will either turn to pity or turn to anger, and you do not want to stay and find out which one it's going to be. Ooh, next up we've got nuclear cringe. This is defined by if your friend is the offender, you start questioning your actual relationship with them, and if you're the offender, you start wondering where you are, why you're part of this social situation, should I still be here? An example is high social unawareness that makes you actually feel bad for the offender. If you want another more concrete example, imagine you're at a house party chopping it up, and then some guy comes up that's not part of the conversation and starts saying, can anyone here actually guard me at basketball? I'm nice with it, I'm wet, I've got ice in my veins. So that the girls can hear him? Yeah, it's brutal out here. But if you find yourself in this god-awful predicament, what should you do? You should completely ice that statement out. This person needs to know what they did wrong. This is like disciplining a dog. If you start letting this cringe invade your body, you're donezo. You need to now step outside and take a breather. And last but not least, for the levels of cringe, we've got grade 7, existential issue cringe, which does irreparable psychic damage to whoever this happened to, and the person will not see the perpetrator the same ever again. Now, for example, you've got an example. I know you've got an example. You're thinking of it right now. You may have had this happen to you. But if you want a concrete example, imagine you're talking to someone and they tell you they're British. Now imagine you find yourself in this situation. What can you do? Honestly, I haven't found good answers myself, but maybe some potential options are do hard drugs maybe to save your psyche or something. Lock into the octillionaire grind set and never talk to anyone again, or perhaps shoot yourself into space and eventually stop thinking. Okay, so now we know how to deal with personal and social cringe, and we have a rough guideline on the cringe spectrum. But since it's the 21st century and this is YouTube, I think it'd be helpful to talk about the newest form of cringe, online cringe. Online cringe, as you might expect, is defined by being online. It can be text, video, picture, etc., but it is most commonly found on social media. Now, it has multiple ways of making you feel, but two common ways are wanting to retreat into your skin and questioning why on earth someone would take this and post it online for anyone to see, or anger. I would say that if you feel either of these feelings about a certain piece of media, you can take your thoughts to Reddit or the like, but that would propel you into grade 5 cringe or above, so instead, SpaceX. And because it's the 21st century, I feel like we can actually demonstrate this one. SpaceX is a term I coined myself, and it's all you need to do if you're ever feeling online cringe. If you ever forget what Luca told you to do when feeling online cringe, it's very easy to remember. Just remember the arbiter of online cringe, Elon Musk. That'll take you to SpaceX. Boom, onto the demo. How should we find videos to practice on? Well, here's a little tip if you want to practice yourself. The easiest way to find cringe videos is to go onto the trending tab of YouTube. So let's see what we got here. Okay, so movie trailers. Mr. Beast videos are pretty good about this. Actually, anything with this kind of thumbnail, I'll demonstrate. Yeah. Like, I asked 10 YouTube millionaires for a house tour. Anything with these kind of faces. Definitely not Sonic the Hedgehog 3 exclusive clip 2024 movie. That is for really cool people to watch and enjoy. All right, so let's perform SpaceX on this Mr. Beast video.
I'm at a grocery store in Germany, and we're gonna buy every single thing in the store.
We're
No
doing
way.
all of this to promote the launch of Feastables in Germany.
And
Space X. Done. Wow, that was really cool. Thanks, Luca. Now I know how to not accidentally put a fist through my monitor when watching a cringe video. No problem, Goblin. I'm glad to be of assistance. Also, I'm 1/25th Italian, but there's one more type of cringe that we have to cover. This we call public cringe. It is a form of personal cringe where greater than 3 or 4 people witness it. The cringe enhances exponentially with the amount of witnesses of your cringe. Importantly, if the cringe you perform is grade 4 or above, this will stay with you forever. So what should we do if it's grade 3 or below? Honestly, take it on the chin. You should own it and act as charismatic as possible. People will hopefully pay no mind. It is the best thing you can do. People will actually think you are cool for it. However, the important thing, if it is grade 4 or above, oof. If you performed any of the level 4 or maybe realistically level 5 cringe with more than 10 people seeing it, the first thing you need to do is consider what other countries you can move to. Then you need to scan your surroundings and make sure no one took a video. If they did, accept defeat. The GTA wasted screen. You then might want to scan your surroundings and make sure no one important is watching. That means your crush, your boss, anyone with a phone. If they did, accept defeat. But if you're not utterly cooked and literally everyone in the world has not seen your video and the most important person to you hasn't seen the video, you might want to consider these options. First of all, you might want to feign amnesia. The Mandela effect is really powerful when weaponized. You have to tell people that this simply never happened. If they bring it up, you'll just be like, no, that doesn't ring a bell. That doesn't ring a bell at all. And you're going to continue that act forever. Maybe you were in a fugue state. Maybe you're going to change the topic of the situation immediately. That's what you should do. Next, you can do something way worse and cooler to offset the cringe. For instance, you perform a level 7 cringe activity. Now you must steal a diamond from a museum while everyone's watching. People will not only think that you were a criminal, but be like, wow, I don't even remember why I was laughing at him before that. If neither of these are calling out to you, you might want to instantly book the ticket to the country, but my personal favorite thing to do is genuinely start tweaking and scare people. If a boatload of people saw you commit a hugely cringe act, just start doing something like this. And then start running towards, ideally, the most elderly person in the vicinity. That way people will transform their cringe into genuine fear and anguish. It's better to be feared than cringe people out. That's what I always say. Image is everything. But if you don't want to abide to any of these, you can just accept defeat and realize that you might just be the real-life Greg Heffley. And there you have it, my kings and queens. That's how you survive a cringe moment. Scientifically proven. I'm literally a scientist of the computer variety. If you enjoyed this video or it helped you out, please consider liking and subscribing. I have a lot of stuff like this on the channel. No. I can't believe I watched that. What do you mean I made this video? No, I didn't. What are you talking about? But that reminds me, actually. Aren't you the one in this video? Oof. Nice choice of shirt, buddy. Nice haircut. You really go outside looking like that? No. This is a little bit too cringe for me. I got a SpaceX. If you enjoyed this video or it helped you out, please consider liking and subscribing. I have a lot of stuff like this on the channel. As always, join the links in the description, leave any suggestions for future videos down below, and I'll see you next time, my cringe lord. I love you. Goodbye.